My name is Ive626 and my life used to be pretty normal. I had a home, a comfy chair, and a pretty sweet collection of comic books. My cousin Laffy's lived next door. He was always dreaming up these crazy plans. Like the time he tried to build a rocket out of old soda bottles. It didn't work, obviously. It just sprayed sticky soda all over my dad's prize-winning petunias. But that was before the bugs came. One day our entire town was just gone. Giant alien bugs, the kind you see in horror movies, decided our planet was a great place for a snack. And they ate everything. We lost our homes, our families, everything. Laffy's and I barely made it out. We hid in a garbage dumpster for 2 days. It smelled awful, but honestly, it saved our lives. All we had were the clothes on our backs and each other. Laffy's was surprisingly calm. He kept saying, "Don't worry, Ivy, I have a plan." His plans usually ended with something on fire, so I wasn't feeling super confident. But what choice did we have? We were just two kids with nothing left. We saw a giant ship in the sky, Helldivers. They were looking for survivors. Laffy's used some old wires and a broken computer to make some kind of flare. I still have no idea how, but it worked. They found us. After that I was excited. I saw it as a grand adventure. I started talking about becoming a hero and getting a cool cape, just like the Helldivers. Years later, Laffy's and I joined the Helldivers, after we lost our pizza shop. It felt like our only option. It was either that or become bug food, and I had seen enough of that for a lifetime. We were officially trainees, about to be dropped into the biggest, scariest war in the galaxy. I loved it. I was a natural. I was loud and brave and always the first to volunteer for the dangerous stuff. Laffy's was more of the don't-get-eaten type, but was good at the strategy parts, figuring out the best way to not get squashed. We were a weird team, my brainy cousin and me, but somehow, we made it through. We were Helldivers. We just didn't know our real adventure was only getting started. Being a Helldiver wasn't as glamorous as I thought it would be. We were assigned to a squad, but we felt like tiny cogs in a giant machine. The big shot commanders didn't know our names. We were sent down to planets to fight and hopefully not die. Laffy's and I said, "We need our own team, a team where everyone matters, a team with a cool name." I told him a cool name wouldn't stop a giant bug from eating him, but he was already brainstorming. He was a dreamer, that was for sure. So, we decided to start our own little squad. We called ourselves the Ragdivers. It was my idea, because we started with nothing, just rags really. And we were still kind of a mess. Laffy's wanted to call us the Mega Awesome Death Squad, but I vetoed that. Ragdivers sounded more humble. It sounded like us. We weren't super soldiers, we were just two cousins trying to survive. We painted a little logo on our armor, a torn flag with a slice of pizza on it. Because even in a galactic war you have to have your priorities straight, and pizza is a top priority. Recruiting for the Ragdivers was interesting. Our first members were a couple of other Helldivers who felt just as lost as we did. There was a quiet tech expert who could fix anything with a wrench and some tape. And a demolitions guy who loved explosions a little too much. We weren't the best of the best, we were the leftovers, the misfits, but we listened to each other. Laffy's was the co-leader who kept everyone's spirits up. He was the heart of the team. I was the leader who made the plans. The plans that hopefully kept us all in one piece. Our little Ragdivers team started to get a reputation. Not for being the toughest, but for being clever. And for always completing our missions, even the weird ones. We took the jobs no one else wanted. The dirty, messy, thankless tasks, but we did them together. We were a family, forged in the fires of bug-infested planets. We shared our food, we patched up each other's armor, and we looked out for one another. It wasn't about glory or medals, it was about making sure everyone on our team made it back to the ship at the end of the day. Our next mission was a normal one. Command wanted us to close up some bug holes, but Laffy's wanted to try out his new nutritional pizza pods for other Helldivers who were stuck deep in enemy territory. Apparently morale was low, and nothing boosts morale like a hot slice of pepperoni. I'm not kidding, these were high-tech pods that would land and deploy a whole pizza station. It was the most important delivery in the galaxy. Laffy's was thrilled. He called it Operation Pepperoni Freedom. I called it Operation Please Don't Get Eaten while carrying a giant pizza box. He was the marketing guy, I was the logistics guy. The planet was a nightmare. It was a bug planet covered in thick stinky fog and crawling with terminids. Our main job was to close the bug holes they were crawling out of. Then we had to set up the pizza pods in secure locations. It was a two-part mission, part exterminator, part delivery driver. The demolitions guy on our team was having the time of his life, gleefully tossing grenades into the bug nests. He kept yelling, "Special delivery," which I thought was a little on the nose, but it made Laffy's laugh. I was busy checking the map, trying to find the safest path. Things were going okay at first. We closed 2 bug holes and managed to set up the first pizza pod. We even saw a transmission from the other Helldiver squad. They were cheering. It was actually a pretty good feeling. Laffy's gave me a big thumbs up. See, Ive? We're heroes. Pizza heroes. I had to admit he was kind of right. It felt good to be helping other soldiers, not just surviving. We were bringing them a little piece of home, a little bit of normal in the middle of all the chaos. It made the danger feel worth it. But our luck was about to run out. As we approached the location for the second pizza pod, we ran into a patrol of bile titans. These things are huge. They're like walking buildings made of acid and hate, and there were 3 of them. Our little squad was pinned down, the air filled with the sizzle of acid spit and the sound of our guns firing. We were supposed to be delivering pizza, not fighting the final boss of a video game. I knew right then that this mission had just gone from tricky to nearly impossible. Our simple delivery job had turned into a fight for our lives. The battle was chaos. Pure, unfiltered chaos. Laffy's was shouting orders, trying to draw the Bile Titan's fire. Our demolitions expert was throwing everything he had at them. I was trying to find a weak spot, a way out, anything. The ground shook every time one of the giant bugs took a step. Acid was splashing everywhere, melting the rocks around us. We were completely outmatched. Our guns felt like pea shooters against their thick armor. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how we die. Defending a high-tech pizza oven. It wasn't the heroic end I had imagined. We had to get to the extraction point. That was our only hope. I yelled at everyone to fall back. We grabbed the pizza pod, we weren't leaving it behind, and we ran. The bugs were right on our tail. We could hear them crashing through the ground behind us. It was a terrifying sound. We were running for our lives, stumbling over rocks and goo. The extraction shuttle was supposed to be landing any minute. We just had to make it. Just a few more 100 meters. Hope was a tiny little spark in a whole lot of darkness. We saw it. The shuttle was descending, its landing lights cutting through the fog. We were so close, we could almost taste the recycled air of the ship. But then, a charger, a huge armored bug that runs really, really fast, burst out of nowhere and slammed right into the shuttle. There was a huge explosion. Metal and fire went everywhere. Our ride home was gone. It was just a flaming wreck on the ground. We all just stopped and stared. Our one way off this rock was a pile of burning metal. The bugs were still coming. We were trapped. We had to scatter. There was no other choice. Everyone, split up, find cover, I screamed. Laffy's and I dove behind a cluster of giant rocks. The other ragdivers disappeared into the fog. We watched as the bugs swarmed the crash site, tearing apart the wreckage. We were stranded. No shuttle, no communication, and on a planet that actively wanted to eat us. I looked at Laffy's. For the first time since this whole mess started, he didn't have a plan, he just looked scared, and honestly, so was I. We were completely and utterly stuck. The next few hours were a blur of running and hiding. Laffy's and I managed to stick together, but we lost track of the other ragdivers. The sounds of the bug horde eventually faded into the distance, but honestly, that didn't make me feel any safer. Every shadow looked like a monster. Every snap of a twig made me jump. We were alone. The reality of our situation started to sink in. We had no food, very little water, and our ammo was running low. Our super cool Helldiver armor suddenly felt very thin and useless. We had to find shelter before nightfall. The planet got even more dangerous after dark. Laffy's, despite being scared, snapped back into his usual optimistic self. Okay, we need a base, a fortress, the Ragdiver headquarters. I told him a cardboard box would do at this point, as long as it had a roof. We spent the afternoon searching. We found a few caves, but they were either too small or already occupied by things with way too many teeth. It was starting to feel hopeless. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in weird shades of orange and purple. Finally, we got lucky. We stumbled upon a deep cave hidden behind some rubble. It smelled weird, but it was big, and most importantly, empty. It was defensible. The entrance was narrow, which meant we could protect it easily. We dragged some rocks to create a small barrier at the mouth of the cave. It wasn't much, but it was something. It was our little corner of safety in a world of claws and fangs. Inside, we took off our helmets and just sat there in the dark for a while, listening to the drip of water and the strange chirps of alien creatures outside. Teamwork was everything now. Laffy's was good at the physical stuff. He reinforced our little rock wall and explored the deeper parts of the cave to make sure we were truly alone. I was in charge of rationing. I counted our supplies. We had 2 energy bars, half a canteen of water, and about 3 clips of ammo each. It wasn't a lot. We had to make it last. We sat by the entrance of our new fortress, looking out at the hostile world. "We'll get out of this, Ive," Laffy said, trying to sound brave. I wanted to believe him. I really, really did. Our cave became our whole world. We gave it a name, Hotel Ragdiver. It had 1 star, and honestly, that was being generous. The first day was tough. We were constantly on edge, listening for any sign of bugs. We took turns sleeping and standing guard. but sleep wasn't easy. My dreams were filled with giant insects and exploding shuttles. Laffy's tried to keep our spirits up, telling jokes that, well, weren't very funny, and drawing silly pictures on the cave walls with a piece of charcoal. He even drew a picture of us riding a bile titan. I told him that was highly unlikely. Survival became a full-time job. Laughwise used his technical skills to rig a small water purifier from parts of my armor's filtration system. It made the weird alien water taste slightly less like gym socks. Laffy, surprisingly, was good at finding food too. He discovered some glowing blue mushrooms that were actually edible. They tasted like dirt, sure, but they were better than starving. We learned to work together like a well-oiled machine. He would handle the explorer stuff and I would handle the let's not die from poison stuff. It was a good system. Laffy's came back from a scouting trip looking excited. He had found something. He led me to a ridge overlooking a valley, and down below was a crashed freighter. It must have crashed years ago. It was old and covered in vines, but it was a treasure trove. It was too dangerous to go down there during the day, so we planned a night raid. We were going to be scavengers. We needed parts, supplies, anything that could help us. This was our first real glimmer of hope since our shuttle went boom. That night we snuck down to the crashed freighter. It was spooky, with the ship groaning and creaking in the wind. We found the comms room. Most of the equipment was smashed to pieces, but in the corner, covered in dust, was an old emergency SOS beacon. It was broken, the power cell was dead, and the antenna was snapped. But it was there. I looked at the mess of wires and circuits and thought, maybe, just maybe I could fix it. For the first time in a long time I felt a surge of determination. This was our ticket home. This broken old box was our only shot. Fixing that SOS beacon became Laffy's obsession. It was like the hardest puzzle he had ever tried to solve. The power cell was completely fried. We needed a new one. Laffy's had a crazy idea. He remembered the pizza pod we had lugged all this way. It had a high-capacity thermal battery to keep the pizzas hot. He said, "What's more important, IV? Hot pizza or getting rescued?" For once I had to agree with his logic. Getting rescued was slightly more important. So we carefully took apart the nutritional pizza pod. It felt wrong, like we were disrespecting the sacred art of pizza. Getting the battery was only the first step. Laffy's had to rig it to power the old beacon. The wiring was completely different. Laffy's spent hours tinkering, using my multi-tool to splice wires and bypass fried circuits. I acted as Laffy's security guard and my assistant. I would hand him tools and keep a lookout for bugs, and he kept up a running commentary. A little to the left. No, your other left. Are you sure the red wire doesn't go there? In the movies, it's always the red wire. Laffy's told me to be quiet, or Hetty used the red wire to tie me to a rock. After what felt like forever, Laffy's thought he had it. Laffy's connected the final wire. The beacon hummed to life. A small green light flickered on. It worked. Laffy's had actually done it. But our celebration was cut short. The beacon wasn't just sending out a silent SOS signal, it was also emitting a loud, repeating beep. A beep that was basically a giant dinner bell for every bug in a 5-mile radius. We could hear them starting to screech in the distance. They were coming, and they were coming fast. Our rescue signal was also a bug magnet. We had a choice. Turn off the beacon and stay hidden, or leave it on and fight. Laffy's looked at me, a determined grin on his face. "No way are we turning it off now," he said. "We just have to hold them off. The ragdivers don't back down." He was right. This was our only chance. We scrambled back to our cave, our hotel ragdiver, and prepared for a siege. We barricaded the entrance as best we could. We loaded our last few clips of ammo. The beeping of the SOS beacon was our countdown clock. Help had to arrive before the bugs broke through. The first wave of bugs hit our little rock wall hard. They were the small, fast ones, the scavengers. They swarmed the entrance, clawing and snapping. Laffy's and I opened fire, our guns lighting up the dark cave. We had to make every shot count. We were horribly outnumbered. For every bug we took down, 3 more seemed to take its place. They were relentless, crawling over the bodies of their own, a chittering tide of death trying to get to us. Our barricade wouldn't hold for long. It was terrifying, but we held our ground side by side. Just when I thought we were about to be overwhelmed, we heard a new sound. It wasn't the screeching of bugs, it was the beautiful, glorious sound of Helldiver drop pods screaming through the atmosphere. They landed with a series of thunderous booms all around our cave. The cavalry had arrived. The doors hissed open and out poured 2 Helldivers, their guns blazing. They laid down a storm of suppressing fire, cutting through the bug ranks. I had never been so happy to see other people in my entire life. They had heard our SOS. One of the Helldivers, a tough-looking man with a huge machine gun, yelled over to us, "You two the ones who ordered the rescue?" Laffy's, in the middle of a firefight, yelled back, "Yeah! Do you have our pizza?" The Helldiver just laughed and blasted a bug that was getting too close. Together, the 4 of us pushed the bugs back from the cave entrance. It was an epic battle. Explosions rocked the ground. Laser fire lit up the night. It felt like we were in one of the action movies Laffy's loved so much. We weren't just surviving anymore, we were fighting back. With the combined firepower of 4 Helldivers, we finally cleared the area. The last bug fell, and then there was silence. Just the ringing in our ears and the steady beep of the SOS beacon. We had done it. We had survived. The 2 new Helldivers walked over to us. They looked at our makeshift cave home, the dismantled pizza pod, and our exhausted faces. The leader smiled. "You two are either the bravest or craziest rookies I've ever seen," he said. "The name's Haptic Thunder, and that's call sign 56 over there. We heard your call. Glad we could make it." Back on the main ship, the story of our survival spread like wildfire. The 2 crazy rookies who got stranded, jury-rigged an SOS beacon out of a pizza oven, and held off a bug horde. We were kinda famous for about 5 minutes. But more importantly, we were alive. We found out that the other 2 members of our original Ragdivers squad had also been rescued by another team. The whole family was safe. Haptic Thunder and his teammate callsign 56 came to visit us in the mess hall. LaFi's had something for them. Pizza. Real pizza. From the ship's galley. It was the most beautiful thing we had ever seen. We all sat around a table, devouring slice after slice. It tasted like victory. We laughed as Laffy's told them the whole story, making it sound even more dramatic and heroic than it was. He called our cave the Fortress of Awesome and described his engineering skills like he was some kind of super genius. He kinda was though. It was embarrassing, but it was also nice. We shared stories and laughed until our sides hurt. Haptic's Thunder looked at us. "You two have got guts," he said, "and you work well together. We're looking for a new team." My eyes lit up. Laffeyes looked at me and he knew exactly what I was thinking. This was our chance. A chance to make the Ragdivers something more than just a couple of misfits. I nodded at him. I stood up on my chair, holding a slice of pizza like it was a king's scepter. "Well," I announced to our new friends, "how would you guys like to become official Ragdivers?" They all smiled. Callsign 56 gave a thumbs up. Haptic Thunder raised his pizza slice. "To the Ragdivers," he said. We all cheered and clinked our pizza slices together. We weren't just 2 cousins against the galaxy anymore, we were a team. A weird, messy, pizza-loving team, and we were ready for whatever the universe wanted to throw at us next. As long as we had each other and maybe a few extra pizza pods just in case, I knew we were going to be okay.